Alright, so part number one here is a pretty simple part, but we have to make a few sketches to get some stuff that we want. We're going to churn the outside and drill this hole through it. We're going to groove this out with a special tool, and we're going to come in here and kind of groove this entire area back off to finish it out so that we can get a sharp corner here. To do this, we'll do a little bit of a preliminary work in the actual solid model. First off, I want this outer sketch churned on so it's easier to see. So I can go in here under Revolve 1, and this sketch I want to right click it and say Show, and that will give me that sketch. Next thing I want to do is create a sketch inside of here. So I'm going to go into my front plane. I need to tell it I want to draw on the front plane, and I'm going to create a line. Then I can choose my endpoints here, 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 and here. And then I'll go up and I'll close the sketch in the confirmation corner. I'm going to make one more sketch on my front plane again. I'm going to create a line from here to here. And then I'm going to come all the way off my part a little ways. Click somewhere out here, and then up until I get a dotted line that matches my other side. There. And I'll hit OK. Now I have three sketches: the original that I'll use for churning the outside, the sketch for this little groove, and the sketch for this area that I want to clean out. So at this point we're ready to pull this into the assembly environment and program it. So I'm going to go over to the Delcam for SolidWorks icon here, and I'm going to go Machine Apart. Do I want to use the current document? Yes. And I'm going to use the Madison College inch churn, and I'll hit open. And you see when it brings it in here, my z-axis is not aligned with the end of my part, which is okay. I just need to make sure I change that. So under stock axis here, I can just pick on the face that I want the z-axis to be on, and you'll see that now the blue is pointing up. I can then hit my next button here, and I want to use a bounding cylinder, which is the default, and I just choose my part, and it will give me some rough stock. On the back of the stock, I'm going to type in maybe 1 inch of extra material for simulation reasons. On the front, maybe 10 thousandths, and radially 25 thousandths, just extra material for it to churn off. My material, I'm going to browse, and I'm going to choose this to be a stainless, and I'll hit OK. I'm going to accept this by hitting the OK button. Now it's asking me for my stock axis, or my setup 1, and you'll see that because I had chosen this face, it is already in the correct spot. So all I really need to do is hit OK. I'll rotate this around a little bit so you can see. So everything here is now ready to go, and we do have our sketches here, so we can choose those as we need. First off, I want to make sure I'm in the Tools Inch library. So under Managers, I'm going to click on Tool Library, and I want to make sure it's Tools Inch, so we're all working in the same spot. And I'll hit OK. And now I'm going to start programming. First, I'm going to face it off, so I'll go to New Feature. I want to do a face. I'll hit OK. My location will be the end of my part. Make sure you're getting the part. My thickness will be the outside of my stock here. And my outside diameter will be the outside of my stock. And you'll see I get this blue simulation of what it's going to be, so I can hit OK. Now if I go to my DFS Features tab here, you'll see that I have a rough and a finish. I really won't need the rough, but I'll leave it on. It just does an extra pass in case we have a little extra material out here. But I can double click that, and I can see what tool it's using to churn it. And you'll see it's using an 80-degree diamond. It's okay, but I think I want to use a 55-degree diamond. So I'm going to double click here and change this. So I'm going to change this to a diamond, 55 diamond, and I'm going to grab the 55 churn right hand and hit OK. My feeds and speeds, you'll see, should be set up for stainless right here, and I'll hit OK. Now if I simulate it, You'll see it faces the end off. Not too much to it there. Tool comes in, faces down my part. I want to look at it with the roll holder on. I can do that. And I'll stop it. Alright, so I want to do a few more things. I want to do just a rough churn off the outside. So I go to New Features, Churn Bore, and I'll hit OK. I'm going to do a churn. My profile will be this outer sketch. And don't worry that it goes down the back. It won't actually cut that. I do want to check the box that says Remove Grooves, because I don't want to try to go into here. And I'll hit OK. And I want to see what tool it used there. So if I double click on Rough Pass 1, use the 80 again and again, I would like to double click this and make this use the 55. A little trick here is that I can just click Recent Tools and then make it 55. And that will only give me the option of the one that I've used before. And I'll hit OK. Again, my feeds and speeds look fine. And I'll accept this. Now it will usually update the finish tool to match. Alright, so I have that. If I play it now, you'll see it come in and rough that off. So faced it, roughed it off here, finished it, but you'll see this little radius right here, and I want to get that out of there. So what I'm going to do is groove this out. So I'm going to go to New Feature, Churn Bore, we'll use Groove. That would be the better option to groove. And I'll hit OK. It's going to be an OD groove from a curve. Make sure this From Curve box is checked. And then I can choose this sketch here. And you'll see it's just going to try to groove that out. And I'll hit OK. Now if I double click on Rough Pass 1, you'll see it's going to try to grab a 1/4 inch grooving tool. And ours is a 165 approximately tool. So I'm going to double click Tool. And I'm going to uncheck Recent Tools. And I'm going to look for the one that says 165 Groove here. And I'll select that. And I'll hit OK. And I'll hit OK again. And that should, again, update the Finish tool as well. We'll use that same tool to cut it off later. But before that, I'm going to groove this out. So I'm going to do another New Feature. This time I'm going to do a groove again. But my curve that I select will be this one here. Just you got to make sure you don't get the whole outer side one. And if you're having a problem getting that to choose, you can always go through this pull-down menu here. And I can see I have my sketch number 9 I can choose. And I'll hit OK. And I get some errors here because I can't actually do it because I don't have a 29 thousandths wide grooving tool. So I'm going to first off, I'm going to turn off the rough. I just want it to plunge right in. So I'm going to turn off rough and double click Finish. It says unable to select tool. I'm going to make a new one. So I'm going to double click Tool. And I'm just going to find any little cut tool. So if I find like a 094 here, I'm going to go with a cut grip, so it's a shorter one. This is the 125. I'm going to then click on New Tool, and it will use this tool that I chose as a template, so I can redo this one. So instead of copy of this, I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to do an SW cut grip. I'm going to change this to a 029. My width is going to be 0.029. And my tip radius, I'm going to change this to like maybe 0.002. And this tool again is a special tool. I'm going to hit preview so I can see it. It's really small here. But this tool is something that's actually your instructor will have. So you'll ask whoever your instructor is and they'll be able to find it for you. And I'll hit OK. It'll ask me, do I want to change my starting corner to a different spot? And I'll say yes. And do you want to use this as the override? Yes. So now it has that tool in the library. Again, that's only in the library in this computer. So if you go down to the shop to do this, you'll have to create the tool down there as well. Now I'll hit OK. Now I'm going to accept this. Now you'll see that it's not aired out. If I simulate through this, I'm just going to single step it. You'll see it face off the end. Come in here, I'm going to fade out a little. Kind of roughs this off a little. then it should come in here and finish it. And then it's going to come change tools to the little grooving tool. And it really won't touch much until it gets into this corner. Actually, the roughing didn't at all, so we could probably turn the roughing off. Then the finish comes down like that, and it'll come to the other side, come down, and feed across and up. So instead of letting it cut that air like that, I could end up churning that off. So my next tool then comes in, switches out, uses this little grooving tool, and it goes in and puts that little groove in there. And that'll be for like a little lock ring that'll go on the part. So I'll stop it here. Again, under this groove over here, I can churn this off because it didn't actually hit anything, so there's no point in letting it post out. Now I need to put a hole through the middle. So I'm going to do a new feature, hole, and I will hit OK. It's going to be a plain hole that goes through, so I can check that. The diameter, if I just choose the inside cylinder here, it'll give me the diameter. It's going all the way to here, but I want to add a little bit. So on my bottom, I want to choose this face, and then I want to tell it to go an additional 0.0625 or something to make it go through. Now we'll do the tip comp because we told it to go through, but I just want it to go a little further as well. And then I'll hit OK. Now it will just drill it in this situation, and we want to spot drill it. We'd have to come up here to Options, and under Drilling, click Spot Drill, and hit OK. And now you'll see it spots it and drills it. Now I can simulate through the whole thing. I have pretty much what I want. I do need to cut it off. So I'm going to do another new feature, cut off. Okay. And my location for the cutoff is the end of the part. My width is going to be 0.165 for the grooving tool. The outer diameter is here. You'll see it puts that in there. And I will hit OK. Let's do the cutoff right here. I usually like going into the cutoff and just seeing my feeds and speeds. It's actually not too bad. So I'll hit OK. And now I can watch it here. And I get a good finished part. And then after this, you would have to put this, you'd have to go hand tap this with a 632, or you can use the flex arm. And then you'd set this up on the wire EDM and a special fixture that your instructor also has, and do the wiring of the dovetail here at the end. So this completes part number 1.